So if a white person hates an Asian person because they're Asian, is that racist? Just yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, if a Hispanic person hates an Asian because they're Asian, is that racist?
This is what I said. This is why I said no. Is because
Oh.
no. Listen, it's not because we're not getting anywhere. It's because this is why I brought up the example of the machine, right? This is why I brought up the example of the machine and why I explained systemic and structural racism and why I spoke of the power dynamic. The power dynamic is very important because that actually determines whether it is racist or not. And now when you think
There's a reason I played you that at the beginning of the video. It's to show you that when people start spewing out nonsense and get confronted with actual logic, they don't know how to respond to that. They know how to dance around it, but I promise you, not one of these individuals could actually sit there and answer a logical question once the person asking it has poked holes in all the stupid nonsense that person said. And for some reason, every person that has a platform that says stupid things like that woman, they get promoted. They get introductions into these large corporations. They are allowed to speak to young impressionable minds and think that what they're saying will actually achieve peace, when in reality none of these people want to even be unified. They want to have some superiority because it makes them feel good. And I have an example for everybody about what it means to be so stupid that as soon as you start spewing things out and people give you backlash and give you criticism and actually question what you say, you have to dance around it and make an excuse because everyone hurt your feelings and no one's promoting what you're talking about. NYC Shrink tells Yale audience she fantasizes about shooting white people in the head. A New York City-based psychiatrist told an audience at the Yale School of Medicine in April that she had fantasies of unloading a revolver into the head of any white person that got in my way. Dr. Uran Kilanani spewed the race-hating vitriol remarks in which she also said she'd walk away from the shooting with a bounce in my step and that white people make my blood boil and are out of their minds and have been for a long time. Kilanani opened her remarks by telling the audience, I'm going to say a lot of things and it will probably provoke a lot of responses and I want you to just maybe observe them in yourself. She added, for some odd reason, prayers up for DMX before discussing what she describes as the intense rage and futility people of color purportedly feel when talking to white people about racism. We are calm, we are giving, and then when we get angry, they use our responses as confirmation that we are crazy or have emotional problems. It always ends that way. It happens every time, like a goddamn timer. You can count it down. Nothing makes me angrier than a white person who tells me not to be angry because they have not seen real anger yet before talking about how she systemically cut off most of her former white friends around 5 years ago. Later in the talk, Kilanani claimed that conversing with white people about racial issues was useless because they are at the wrong level of conversation. White people are out of their minds and they have been for a long time. White people feel like we are bullying them when we bring up race. They feel that we should be thanking them for all that they have done for us. They are confused and so are we. We keep forgetting that directly talking about race is a waste of our breath. We are asking a demented, violent predator who thinks that they are a saint or a superhero to accept responsibility. It ain't gonna happen. They have 5 holes in their brain. It's like banging your head against a brick wall. Kilanani said that addressing racism assumes that white people can see and process what we are talking about. They can't. That's why they sound demented. They don't even know they have a mask on. White people think it's their actual face. We need to get to know the mask. The psychiatrist who says in her profile on the Independent Doctors of New York website that she has expertise in treating patients who may be curious about questions around their identity, claimed that Yale promised the footage of her talking would be released to the public the next Monday. Instead, after a series of delays, it was released internally, only available to anyone with a school ID. And in recent weeks, Kilanani took to TikTok to push for the video of her talk to be made public. Yo, white amnesia is an amazing thing, she said in her most recent postings. And I would wonder, why do you think a school would not want to publicly put out something where a woman is saying she wants to harm white people? Do you have any guesses? Can we play Jeopardy for this? Is it because A, she's spewing out controversial nonsense that could actually get white people harmed? Or is it B, she's trying to create unity with everybody by letting you know that you can't talk to white people about these things because they have 5 holes in their head? Neither answer is a good answer, because she's not doing anything that could actually make sense in trying to get people to talk about race. And what she's saying is generalizing all of white people because she's had 3 people in her life tell her off. And it's a shame that she's talked about these things and people have told her off, but not every white person is like that. There are white people who actually recognize that there is racism still out there in this world, but they aren't the ones doing it. I've talked to white people who want to have conversations about racism and actually know that they have done nothing. They want to help. They don't want to feel like they're a problem, and they damn sure don't want to be demonized, especially when they don't do anything. And I've said that before. If I was a white person and I got labeled a racist, I would defend myself. I wouldn't get on my knees and say, yes, power to the people, my black brother, I'm sorry for my whiteness being a problem, because I know I haven't done anything. But again, I'm the odd man out because I'm black, and so by default, I have to be one of these people who only cares about race and will look at white people bad, when that's not the case whatsoever. And you know what's funny about this psychiatrist? She thought that this would be something to inspire people. She thought everyone would see this and no one would have a problem with it. She believed that there was nothing wrong with this, to the point where she was posting on TikTok that this needs to be out there. And anyone with common sense saw this and thought, no, this does not need to be out there. So much to the point people were criticizing her when this article came out. And you know what her defense was? NYC psychiatrist defends out of context fantasy about shooting white people. A New York City based psychiatrist who shared her violent fantasy of shooting white people in the head during an Ivy League lecture claims the shocking words were taken out of context. And that's all you gotta say about that. People saw your words, people heard you, and they came to their own conclusions, and now you claim it's out of context. No, it's not. You sat there and tried to race bait. You tried to get people angrier at white people than they already are, and to the point where somebody who's dumb enough could cause harm to white people, could go out and just look at white people and say, I'm gonna put a brick in your head. People are impressionable, and you think that individuals would just sit there, listen to you, and think, yes, I have now gained the tools to be a person who knows how to handle white people, when in reality, you're getting more and more people to demonize white people, and it's not helping. Somebody could take these and actually go on a rampage against white people who don't understand race. I just talked about recently some dummy who was going around making fake hate crimes when no one wanted to listen to her, to the point where she could have possibly burned down a building. These are the people you are talking to. These are the impressionable minds that are reaching and listening to you. And instead of sitting there saying, we need to create better dialogue, we need to create better discourse, there are white people out there that want to help, all white people aren't bad, all white people aren't this. Instead of generalizing, you are sitting there creating context no one wants to hear about that actually will get criticized. You're not helping, you're hurting. But of course, I'm the odd man out because I'm the black man saying, defending, and actually supporting white people who aren't racist. And apparently by that logic, I'm creating a shield for white people to be racist. But I honestly would love to see unity. The reason I won't is because people like this get promoted, as opposed to actual people who want to help, who actually won't sit there and demonize white people, who won't sit there and tell you that they fantasize about shooting white people. And I'm gonna end the video with this. Since I know some people were okay with her saying she has fantasies about that, let me ask a question. What if somebody who was white got on a stage in front of college students and said, I fantasize about shooting black people? What would the response be? And so I leave you with that. Subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next video. We will never achieve unity with people like this talking to people. Bye.